I'm Mark Noseworthy, and I'm the project lead on Destiny 2.
Battle stations! Everyone with me, now!
So it seems you've clearly responded to a lot of fan feedback for the sequel. What has been the biggest lesson you learned from Destiny 1 when considering the lifespan of Destiny 2 as a service?
Destiny is a game you can totally play by yourself and have a great time, and Destiny 2 is no different. We're building, a large, compelling campaign with awesome characters, with a cool story, memorable moments that you can totally play by yourself. And you can continue to play in the endgame that way as well. The thing we saw with the live game is that people who play with other people who play with their friends, they don't need to be friends in real life, they can just be friends on their friends list. They get a lot more out of Destiny. It becomes their hobby. They play more. And when you look at the people who are still playing the live game right now, those people have large friends lists. So what we want to do with Destiny 2 is really slope the floor and give everyone the chance to make friends in this game. Bungie's mission is to build worlds that connect people, that build friendships. And so that's one of the reasons clans and guided games are so important to us in Destiny 2, because it's not only going to give people access to the most compelling content, like Trials, the Nightfall Raid, it's also going to give people a community of people to play with.
You mentioned there about the worlds that Bungie strives to create. It seems a lot of effort's gone into re-energizing the sandbox in Destiny 2. How do you think that's going to affect the rhythm of players experiencing the game?
I don't know how it's going to affect the rhythm. We're always trying to just make the best playing action game that we can, right? And to put new fantasies out there that occupy a kind of different type of play style than we've had before. Like when we look at the subclasses, if I talk about the Titan Sentinel allows him or her, summon this shield, the physical shield that it can bang dudes with, throw it around a room and KO 4 or 5 guys, or really use an ability that allows him to draw it out and create an actual shield, physical shield that other characters can come in behind and provide cover for. And so it's this really kind of dynamic support role, but one where they still can be effective at combat. That's different than the other support roles we've had in the past.
I'm intrigued by in the new classes and the way it sets up. You've got new abilities bound to circle or B.
Yes.
That seems like it's going to change the meta massively in how the 3 classes interact.
Every class in Destiny now has a class-wide class ability. So just independent of what kind of subclass you play, the classes have these abilities. So the Hunter can now dodge on command with the circle button, and with a double tap. And when he or she does, it actually recharges their melee with one of the strong melee attack. And so they can dodge and melee, and you really kind of like bob and weave around. Then you have the Warlock, who can throw these sigils on the ground that can buff players in different ways, And now, unlike, Weapons of Light or whatever from Ward of Dawn, you can stand in this light and shoot through. There's nothing blocking your bullets, right? And then you, of course, have the Sentinel. The Sentinel can summon a barricade. One that's about waist high and another one that's physically high that blocks incoming damage. And so those tactically changed the battlefield pretty substantially, and they're always available.
One of the strongest parts of Destiny was the AI and how adaptive it was. Has the AI been changed for the Cabal being sort of the center point here and the other races as well? What sort of improvements have been made this time around?
Yeah, we've taken kind of a ground up first principles look at all the combatants, certainly from an AI perspective and a behavior, and every combatant in Destiny has been touched at like almost a fundamental level of like how they play. How can we make the one-on-one game between my reticle and my character and that monster more fun, more dynamic, more interesting. And so all characters have been touched in some way. But we've also added a bunch of new combatants, like the Red Legion. The Red Legion are like an elite military force inside the Cabal. They're like the Navy SEALs. They're the best of the best, responding only to Dominus Gall. And so 3 of the new units that we showed off today were the War Beasts. Those are those dogs that have like vicious claws and those like crazy masks. And of course, they try to eat you. Then you have the Incendiors. They have the flamethrowers and the the propane jet tanks on their back, which if you're like really good player and you can get a couple shots on the propane tank, they'll blow up and cause a big AoE damage. And then you have the gladiators with the 2 blades that if they get a melee distance with you, they are going to kill you, and they're pretty meaty. They're not like Thrall, right? They're not a pushover. You really got to kind of keep your distance from them and always know where they are on the battlefield.
Will the Grimoires make a return?
We are taking the role of the Grimoire, which was a mechanism for delivering lore in the game, and bringing it into the game instead of out of the game. This does not mean we have the Grimoire in the game. This means that the types of stories the Grimoire was telling is now going to be told by the world itself. Whether that's the armor that you're finding, the stories you're discovering with the ghost as you explore the world. We're making the world a lot more explorable with more things to find, including lore. One of the avenues for delivering this is through adventures. Adventures are these 10 to 15 minute kind of like mini missions, separate entirely from the campaign, that tell the story of the destination, of its combatants, of the characters that are there, and really flesh out the lore of the world in the same way that the Grimoire did.
You mentioned earlier that the patrol area, or the new world zones, are twice as big as the ones in Destiny? Or bigger, sorry.
Yeah, certainly the European Dead Zone is the largest destination we've ever built. And we're really trying to make the destinations places that you can inhabit. You're not just going down and doing this one specific thing. You can say, hey, I'm gonna go boots down, there's a landing zone here. I'm gonna go there and hang out. I'm gonna do patrols, or I'm gonna look for these, treasure maps, or I'm going to play adventures, or I'm gonna go in search of these lost sectors. Lost sectors are, like mini dungeons that are hidden in the world. And it's, if there's a door somewhere and it looks like there might be something behind it, there probably is, right? And at the end of that spot behind that door, there's a boss with a key, guarding a cache of treasure. And there's dozens of these hidden across the destinations. And so, and going back and forth between those different activities, you don't, there's no loading. You don't have to return to orbit. You can just be there. You can spend hours and hours on the European Dead Zone just exploring all the spaces, getting all the things.
Can we talk about the PvP and the idea to go 4v4 in every mode? That seems like a very brave, intentional thing to do. What's the thinking behind that, and what do you kind of want to elicit from the player in that kind of mindset?
Yeah, we're trying to make PvP more learnable, more readable, more watchable, more competitive, and more team-oriented. By reducing the fire team sizes from 6 to 4, that means you have more stuff, you have less stuff to worry about on the battlefield. That means your ability to coordinate with other players is higher. That means your ability to strategize with them is higher. We've also made other changes to PvP, like making the HUD more readable, communicating who has the super right now, increasing the time to kill so that you live longer when you're fighting, which gives you more of an opportunity to learn from what's happening. We're trying to make PvP easy to learn but difficult to master. And by having a smaller group of 4v4, we think it really accomplishes that goal. And we think it's the best PvP we've made.
Am I right? Am I right or am I right?
Destiny 2 comes out on December 8th this year. Can't wait for you guys to all to play it.